This is the Chris Sims Top 40 Quarterback Countdown. As we are woefully behind Chris's unveiling of them on his podcast because it's been a busier offseason than usual. There are two tiers there. One is very limited, and some out there who are putting quarterback lists together would put Caleb Williams already in the top. I think a guy who's never thrown a pass in an NFL game, never set foot on a field would be a top 5 quarterback. Are you kidding me? He might become one, but how can you say he is one now? Chris, I think it's far more reasonable to put him as the top of the incoming class, but still at number 20.
Yeah, I mean, he's an incredible talent. This is as high as I've ever put any rookie quarterback ever. So that just tells you what I think of him. Right, and I've came away with some of the rookie quarterbacks that I've really loved in the past, and if I look back at my, old rankings, I go, I'd love this rookie quarterback. I thought he would do well this year, and I just didn't have the guts to do it because I was like, I got to see more. C.J. Stroud would be one from last year, certainly, right? But I think Caleb Williams is NFL ready. I do. And I think he's an incredible talent on that, and all my things that I've said about him. Incredible physical talent, let alone he can play the quarterback position too. And, hey, they're in Chicago. They got some talent around him to where I don't think it has to be all him early on, and he'll have a little bit of a chance to adjust to the learning curve in the NFL.
So, okay. This is interesting because there are a lot of people that put him very high up, even, in the top 10. I don't know if I've ever seen any top 5 lists, quite honestly. I know people like Nick Wright from First Things First have him super high up, but this list is interesting, and I wanted to look at it in this way and not have it where the other 14 are revealed just yet, because to me it doesn't really matter, honestly. But because I'm not going to sit here and say, he's better than Josh Allen, he's better than Joe Burrow, he's better than Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, any of these guys, because it's just, again, you have to play in the NFL, okay? We can be really high and hyped on Caleb Williams, but we can't jump the shark here just yet. But it is funny because with all that said, I would put Caleb Williams above other established NFL quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield, for instance. Like, I would be more confident after seeing everything that I've seen in Baker Mayfield. I would be more confident rolling the dice for Caleb Williams. Same thing for Geno Smith. I'm rather having Caleb Williams over Baker, Geno, definitely Daniel Jones, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Deshaun Watson, Jameis Winston. I'm trying to see who else is there. Like, I'm purposely not saying any of these other rookies. Although I do think that he is definitely the best rookie of the class there. It definitely has the greatest potential. But this list is already kind of bizarre to me. Put Baker Mayfield over Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy, and Tua is absurd to me. Putting even at this point, let's see. Honestly, even Geno Smith above Deshaun Watson makes no sense to me at this point. Anthony Richardson, I think, is too low because I think Anthony Richardson is going to be a really great quarterback in the NFL, especially with Shane Steichen as the OC. So this list as a whole is already kind of really bizarre to me, but it does make sense that Caleb Williams, has emerged as the best ever rookie in his QB countdown, I guess, of like all time or whatever. But it is interesting that he only has the courage to put him at 20. Like, he doesn't have the courage to put him up against Baker Mayfield. Like, if you had to ask yourself the question, who do you think is going to have a better season? This is the way how I try to look at it. Who do you think will have a better season this season? Caleb Williams or Geno Smith? Caleb Williams. Who do you think is going to have a better season? Caleb Williams or Kyler Murray? Caleb Williams. Who do you think is going to have a better season? Caleb Williams, Baker Mayfield. Caleb Williams. So that's how I kind of go along with it. There's some of these other quarterbacks, like a Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy's going to have another great season. It's not to say that I don't think Caleb Williams will be a better quarterback or that I would prefer to have Brock Purdy over Caleb. but Brock Purdy's on an unbelievable team with an unbelievable coach. So that's difficult to compete with, right? So we have to be realistic in that regard. But if we take away some of that, because that's what's so interesting to me as well, is that when we evaluate players, especially quarterbacks, it's this back and forth between judging what they've done on the field, what we think they're capable of doing, whether it be because they either have a stacked roster and we believe that they'll still be great even without a stacked roster, or they don't have a stacked roster, they have like a mediocre team, but we believe them to be really good, but they just haven't been able to show just how truly good they are. And a good example of that for me is like Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert is an elite quarterback, but just hasn't had the right coach, the right team, and it's just been a difficult upbringing for him. Similar things with like a Josh Allen, all of that type of stuff. And so that's where you got to ask yourself the question as how successful will Caleb Williams be this season? And I think, like I've said this before, I think the Chicago Bears will make the playoffs. I think Caleb Williams will be great. I think like any rookie quarterback, he's going to have his growing pains, but he will be more susceptible to have an up and down season because he is indeed a rookie. That's just a fact. And even some of the weapons he's going to rely on are young and don't have a tremendous amount of experience. One of them also being a rookie. So you just don't know. But again, I'm taking Caleb Williams over Baker and Geno without a doubt. And I'm also taking him over Tua, not because I don't think Tua is a really good quarterback, but I trust in Caleb's physicality and athleticism over Tua, because with Tua, that's progressively getting more and more limited. So out of all these guys on this list right now, even knowing what they've done in the past, even if I knew that we could rewind the clock and achieve some of the highs that some of these players have achieved, like a Russell Wilson, like a Derek Carr, is there anyone else out there who's done some pretty big things but now is no longer? No. Or even a Brock Purdy. Actually, you're right, because he's obviously been to the Super Bowl. I'm taking Caleb Williams, right? If we put all these guys in a pile and we say, okay, you gotta draft one of them, like I am going to take Caleb Williams, because Caleb Williams, I do believe, will be that special, will be that great, truly has generational elite talent that I think will absolutely positively be unleashed on the league. It's not a matter of if, to me, it's more of a matter of when. Are the Chicago Bears poised to be able to do this instant success? I think they will have a lot of success, but I don't think Caleb Williams is going to reach his maximum potential this season. And I don't even think Caleb Williams will be able to reach his maximum rookie potential with the Chicago Bears right now, right? Because I think he would be able to maximize his rookie potential if he was with the 49ers, if he was with the Lions. I'm sorry to say that, Chicago Bears fans. If he was with Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs. I just trust those weapons and that coaching staff and the coordinators a little bit more. But again, do not take this as me knocking the Chicago Bears. I've said it again, and people all over ESPN are saying that the Chicago Bears will not make the playoffs, and I'm here saying that I think they will. So I'm clearly high on the Chicago Bears, but I'm also not going to just blindly close my eyes and just say, Caleb Williams is king, he's going to win every single game, Chicago Bears are going to the Super Bowl and they're going to win. There you go. Because that's not what I believe either, and I always want to try to, bring as honest and accurate information as I can. It doesn't mean that I'm right. It's just what I believe in this moment. So I think Caleb Williams is actually low on this list, theoretically, because there's just certain players that I believe that even though he hasn't had an NFL snap, I'm okay putting him above him. There's other players that I'm not, right, that I wouldn't be prepared to say, okay, even though I think he'll be better than them in the long run, I'm not prepared to put him above them right now, because that wouldn't be fair, and that would be, just inappropriate from my viewpoint. But the other thing that I wanted to emphasize, and I emphasize this on all of these dumb quarterback countdowns, because that's what I think they are, I don't like rankings to begin with. I've said this again and again and again and again, and I guess I'll just have to keep saying it because we always do these rankings. I don't believe in rankings. I don't believe you can rank a quarterback 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I put them in groups. I just think that they're in bunches. I think because there's too many variables at hand. Who is your OC? Who is your head coach? Who is your defense good? Do you have a good OC or good head coach, but you have no weapons? You have no run game? Is your O-line terrible? Right? Like what's going on here? There's just too many variables. And so to me, I look at success on the field. I look at some stats. I look at the eye test. I think the eye test is such an underrated feature of evaluating a quarterback, because if it was just all math and science and stats, then the scouts would just be mathematicians. They wouldn't actually be knowledgeable on football. It would just be mathematicians. You would just look at the hard numbers, and we would know exactly who was going to be successful coming out of college into the pros. And we know that's not the reality. So much of it is also eye test. How does it look? How comfortable do you look? How composed are you? The throws that you're making, yeah, you threw for 300 yards, but like, how much of that was because of you, the quarterback? Like, that's why you got to really watch the games, watch the plays, watch how they unfold. Who are they playing? Dak Prescott had a great season last season, except it was against only bad teams. So on the surface, it looks like he played unbelievable and had one of the best seasons, if not the best season of his career. Except that's not really accurate when you see when he played good teams, he didn't play so good. So can you say that he had a good season when he only feasted on bad teams? Like, it's always that balance. Not Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes, right? His numbers were down. Do we say that Patrick Mahomes had a down year and wasn't a very good quarterback? He was just making mistakes? Because we know that that's not the case either. We know Patrick Mahomes is still the best quarterback in the NFL. So you have to really kind of watch the game, watch what you're seeing, watch how they unfold. And that's also why Caleb Williams will get the nod from me as well over some of these other players, even though he hasn't played, because it is what I believe he will be able to do in the NFL. But yeah, the Caleb Williams talk is always interesting to me, and it is fascinating to say, like, hey, Caleb Williams is better than Russell Wilson, who won a Super Bowl and went to another one, better than Derek Carr, who was an MVP candidate, Deshaun Watson, who was originally setting the league on fire, right? Who got the largest guaranteed contract. Everyone else, those are all rookies. I know, yeah. I mean, it is pretty interesting. So honestly, I think actually Sims is being more lukewarm on Caleb Williams by putting him as low, by putting him below a Kyler Murray and a Baker Mayfield, a Geno Smith. Like, come on, who would you rather pick right now, Geno Smith or Caleb Williams? We know that answer. All of you watching this video are picking Caleb Williams, and I don't think there's any doubt. And I know there's mega Baker fans out there. I'm pretty confident you guys are all going to take Caleb Williams as well. Same thing with Kyler Murray. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think Caleb Williams is too low? Do you think this is right? If you think he's too low, where would you put him at? If you think if he's too high, where would you put him at? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.